I want to talk today about how you can do away with the power that's generated by unwanted thoughts. And within this, in my last videos, I explained about levels of truth. Now, it's really important to understand that there's levels of truth that we need to view things at in layers. So sometimes you can be seemingly contradicting yourself because depending on what level of truth that you're sitting at and which level of awareness that you're approaching a subject by, which is necessary to understand every level, and of course in the totality of all of them together. So I guess how it's being told to me at the moment is, if you were to have a play, it's almost like within this play, you're able to view the circumstance or the story from every character's angle. And if we, through levels of truth, each truth is from each character. Now, all of the characters hold their own truth, and not one of them would be the same as the other one. But are they all true? Yes. And then we, as the witnesser, are able to watch the play from afar, knowing we know what all the characters are thinking, and that they all hold their own level of truth, and that they're all true. Yet when we look at it from a play point of view, we also know that it is just a play, and that everything that's occurring within it is somewhat of an illusion, and that's also true. So what I wanted to talk about today is these uncontrollable thoughts and how and why they're generated. So if you've heard of the ego, which I'm assuming if you're watching this video you would have, the ego is the personality construct that we have created in order to have this experience of separation. Now, what the ego's role is it needs to believe that it is its own entity. It is an individual. And what it does is gather evidence and repeatedly display or grab information that supports our theory, our belief system as this evidence. And so what it does with this evidence is it constantly shows it to us through thoughts. So it points out things that are happening around us and says, grab that, look, that reconfirms what we believe about this, and that reconfirms what we believe about that. But it's not just in our what we're viewing at the time. It's also creating so many stories that aren't even actually happening because it believes it's of that high importance that it needs to somehow or somewhat protect us from perceived threats. Now, the ego didn't form these threats on its own. They are from past experiences and circumstances that have happened within our life. And because they've formed these beliefs through these events, through these circumstances and experiences, it then continuously creates stories of a similar nature because that's how it's been conditioned to perform. Now we can then experience this as these constant streaming thoughts, and often of a possible negative nature or even quite damaging. It can put a lens onto or a projection onto people or events about how they're going to make us feel. And sometimes it can be so strong that no matter how the actual event or how the person is that we're interacting with or experiencing, we can be giving ourselves the experience of the projected view from fear or distortion and having the experience of that, but 100% not actually experiencing what's occurring in actual reality. So I'll explain this in another way, where if you were to go swimming and you had a huge fear of the water, obviously when you get in the water, you are going to be overwhelmed with this fear. The thought of even getting in the water, the mind would create what's in the water. It would flash up things, pictures, danger, danger. That was your body, your entire body would react from this. From this fear space, this belief of what the water is and what it's going to do to you and what experience you're going to have. Is that anything to do with reality? No, not at all. But are you having a real life experience about what your thoughts are saying about the water? Yes. So what this means is the ego and the thoughts are powerful enough to create the feeling within our body. And when we create this feeling, we reconfirm the fact that it's real even more so. However, when these feelings are created by thoughts from a story, we aren't actually experiencing reality at all. We are experiencing the feeling from a story that's been created by the ego, based on past experiences. So how do we get out of this? What do we do if this is constantly happening to us? Well, I want to ask you a question. How does it feel in your body to perceive, understand, or conceptualize that you may not be controlling anything that happens within your reality? And it's not just your reality. Reality is existing. And we're perceiving it through our lens. The thing is, our perception and the story we create about what happened, the information that the ego grabs to reconfirm, is always after it's happened. Even though the ego would like to know that it's in control, it can spend hours predicting, giving future visions or feelings and thoughts about how things are going to turn out. Not one of these things are actual reality, because the ego doesn't have the power to tell the future. It just really, really wants to protect us from the things that have harmed us in the past. This can be set to the default mode of what the ego does. However, there is a place that we can get to where we get the ego on side, because it starts to be or live in a state of, we don't need to be fearful anymore. Oh, I don't need to be worried about that. And when it does arise, when thoughts do arise, we can counteract it, and we can say, not by pushing it away, but thank you to that thought. But I know who I am. I know what I am. And I know that that thought isn't true. I know that I can't predict what's going to happen. I can only perceive the future through my lens of the past. So when we step into the space of realizing and embodying the fact that we're not controlling anything, it allows us to be in a state of surrender. so that when experiences, events, people, things happen, we can experience them and have a grounded, present approach into how we're going to process or what it actually means to us in the present moment. Because anytime we're not in the now, when we're in the thought, in the ego patterning, in the visions, in the created story that is being told to us through the ego, we cannot experience what is going on right now. Because our story, our play, our perceptual lens is so distorted through this layer that every single thing that we will experience will be grabbed by the ego and filtered through, reconfirming our beliefs about the way things are based on past experiences. So, how do we handle constant thoughts? It takes time in embodying and knowing who you are in truth. It takes time in remembering, am I creating any of this reality? Is there one thing that has happened within my reality that I actually chose to happen? Now, when I say chose, levels of truth, right? Because there's a level of truth that exists where you are choosing. But once you reach higher levels, you realize you're not choosing at all. In fact, it's happening, and then we're creating a story of understanding it. I hope this helps. And let me know in the comments if just any feedback you get from this, because I do understand that it can be difficult for people to grasp this concept that you're not controlling anything, but free will is such a is a definite level of truth. So it's not that it's not true. However, when you go past that level of truth, you begin to see that the idea of what you thought free will is may very well change. Okay, I hope this helps. See ya.